Hey Raghunath, tell everyone about our Patreon community.
Sure, Kastuba. The Wisdom of the Sages Patreon community is an incredible online yoga resource. If you like the type of yoga wisdom and culture we share on the show, then our Patreon community is a great next step. This is a listener-supported podcast, and any level of sponsorship will unlock a wide range of live and archived classes, talks, and even workshops.
Raghunath teaches, I teach, and we have a host of other excellent teachers on topics ranging from yoga philosophy, asana classes, storytelling, Ayurveda, kirtan, cooking, meditation, and a lot more.
We even have an incredible online Bhakti 12-step recovery group.
So if you want to check it out, go to patreon.com/wisdom of the sages.
All right, let's get it on.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Live from Super Soul Farm, this is Wisdom of the Sages, a daily yoga podcast with your host, Raghunath, and co-host and senior educator at the Bhakti Center in New York, Kastuba Das. Welcome to the show, everybody. Welcome to today's study discussion of the Srimad Bhagavatam. We're here every day, everybody. If you're listening to this, if you stumbled upon this, hey, we're here every day. We study the Srimad Bhagavatam. The Srimad Bhagavatam is the cream of the crop of all Vedic literature, is talking about how not just to upgrade your life, but to reconnect our life on this planet with Source. Basically, how to become a sorcerer. What do you think about that, Kastuba? Mr. Kastuba?
I think it's misleading, Raghunath. I think
What?
it's making people the
You
wrong
think it's
idea of
misleading?
what we're all about.
I'm going to put that in my bio. Raghunath, part-time botanist,
Sorcerer.
full-time sorcerer. I'm not a part-time sorcerer. I'm a part-time botanist, but I'm a full-time mystic.
When you're doing botany, you're doing sorcery.
That's true. All right.
I'm supporting what you're saying with that.
Okay. All right. Good. Well, my camera's not working, so it's I feel a little dull today. So
Work on that, right? Work on that camera.
Okay.
I think it has something to do with your adapters and all of that.
I do. I got bad adapters.
And I think you're overworking your computer, Scott. It's not built for as much as you're doing with it. Like,
Maybe that's it. Maybe I got too much stuff open, or
things, they don't work right when you get too many. When you're trying to jam too many things through it.
You
That's
sound
my
like
technical.
You sound like a real technician.
Yeah.
Can I hire you?
Computer technician. I'm as much a computer technician as you are a sorcerer.
Perhaps. Hey, we're here live every day. If you want to join us live, email Mara. Miss Mara over here to my left. Wisdom of the Sages 108@gmail.com. She'll give you the secret Zoom code so you can enter into our little.
Why are the Zoom codes secret? Why don't we just release them to the world?
Why are they secret? Why are they secret?
Why do we have to put Mara through that?
Well, how do you get them then?
We just put them on our Instagram link tree or something like that.
Yeah, well, we can do that. Let's have a meeting.
I don't know why we've been doing this for 3 years. Why people have to go through Mara.
I don't know. I like secret things. It makes it feel like an exclusive club.
Maybe that's what
like a secret society. We should get a handshake, password, and some type of insignia.
Okay.
Oh, they're in the club. Okay, Miss Mara's got some announcements today. You know what?
People are saying Zoom bombers, but it doesn't make a difference because we got you on mute anyway. We only unmute the people that we want to unmute.
Well, the Zoom bombers used to be able to unmute us. Remember
so I don't think that's an issue anymore.
Okay.
I don't think we need to have a secret code anymore.
Okay. I think Zoom fixed that bug.
Announcements: we got a Bhakti recovery group meeting today at noon, and tomorrow at 10:30 a.m. for our Patreon members. Josh Kane is offering an asana class.
Okay.
Hey, we're also doing Wisdom of the Sages New York City Jagannath Rath Yatra third annual one, Jagannath Rath Yatra weekend workshop at the Bhakti Center. Go to is it thebhakticenter.org, Kostiba? Thebhakticenter.org.
BhaktiCenter.org.
Oh, bhakticenter.org. And you can sign up for our weekend retreat. It's Friday, Saturday, Sunday. You don't stay at the you're gonna need a place to stay in
You
New
gotta find
York.
yourself a place to stay.
Yeah, we can't do that for you.
Okay. But it makes it a very affordable retreat and everything that way too. Well,
at least if you don't have to, if you have a friend that's
Yeah.
living in New York that you can crash with, it does.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it makes it the most expensive retreat we do.
So, yeah, there's two ways to look at it.
But it's fun. We do lots of Jagannath, Leela, and stories and kirtan, and then we march it to the Jagannath parade, marching downtown. If you've never been to the Jagannath Yatra Festival, New York City is a great way to start it. I remember the first one I went to. It's like I was already sort of into Krishna a little bit, and I was like, it feels like, oh wow, Bhakti Yoga's taking over the world. That was the feeling. Marching and singing down Fifth Avenue. It's like a music. It's like being in a
Not
music
marching,
video.
dancing.
It's like being in. It's like being in a Thriller video,
Okay.
except with Lord Jagannath and not Michael Jackson. But it's a wonderful time. And wonderful sorcery, and then good prasad. It's a nice weekend festival, and it's very kid friendly.
It has a very deep spiritual theme that we try to get into over the course of the weekend, right?
Yeah. I'm going to tell lots of Jagannath stories that weekend. I'm looking forward to it. And you know what we do? We have even if you're not going, but you just go to the festival, we're going to have a little table set up, and we're going to hang out there with all our people. If there's others out there listening, but we've never met you, come up and say hi. We'll kirtan in front of our table. I'm really looking forward to it. Okay, let's get on with the show, my friend.
Let's do it. You got a nugget?
Yeah, I got a great nugget from, this is from the first person. I never got into music. I got into music later in life. Some people, like Paramatma, got into music when he was like fourth grade or something. He was
I was like that.
Right, you were like that too, right? I got into music like not till, because I played the violin. I just listened to classical music, but I didn't dig.
It's sophisticated, Raghunath.
I'm a little sophisticated, yes.
That's why you always ask me, how do you know that when it comes to music? How do you know those lyrics? Because I was taking it in at a really young age.
That makes sense. But the first person I listened to, my brother gave me the Bob Dylan Nashville Skyline record. And then I got into Bob Dylan. I got really into Bob Dylan, and then I just went right to the Sex Pistols, and then it was all over. But Bob Dylan was one of the few people before punk rock that I listened to.
He had a lot of good stuff to say, Bob Dylan.
He had a lot of interesting stuff. I know a lot of devotees who were very into Bob Dylan. He must have been like a bridge to bhakti for a lot of people, because he was sort of like a revolutionary at the time, and he definitely wasn't like a polished singer. It was a very unique, weird, scratchy voice, but it just worked.
And as a lyricist, especially, he was important.
And he was also very interested in bhakti. Like, you're very interested in Krishna consciousness. Yeah. He was. Don't you remember that whole thing we had about how Bob Dylan drove across the country with these devotees? It was like a whole thing we did once. And we even met the devotee who he drove across the country with, I think. Okay. And they had the whole story for us. We got to resurface that story. Okay. And then you could tell he was going through, and I bet it happens with a lot of very famous, very thoughtful people, as they get to this point of like, all right, I've done everything. I've enjoyed my senses more than anybody I'll ever meet. Now what do I do? And they go towards, they burn out, they die, they get disillusioned, or they get to God. And he was on a God quest, and obviously
he was close with George Harrison too. They were in a band together.
I didn't know that.
Traveling Wilburys.
Did not know. Yeah. Well, here he goes. This is from Bob Dylan. I really get this. We're constantly being bombarded by insulting, humiliating music.
That's heavy, right?
That's a pretty heavy statement, huh?
Insulting. Let's talk about why, but good. Yeah, read the whole thing.
which people are making for you the way they make Wonder Bread products.
Wonder Bread.
Ouch.
Twinkies.
Refined. Not even food anymore. Long shelf life.
Refined in the negative sense.
Yeah, not refined, and long shelf life in the negative sense. Right. Just as food can be bad for your system, music can be bad for your spiritual and emotional feelings.
Okay.
It might taste good or clever, but in the long run, it's not going to do anything for you. You know?
Yeah, I was when I heard this,
I got a lot of comments on this too. Go.
it made okay go. It made me think of an interview I once saw with Placido Domingo. Oh, sophisticated music.
I don't know who that is.
Listener, we're gonna.
I don't know.
Placido Domingo is one of the three tenors. He's a famous opera singer.
Oh, okay.
And so he was being interviewed, and he was being asked like about good music, like what do you think is good music? And he said, if somebody likes it, it's good music, right? If you can find one person out there that's into it, then if it's pleasing someone, if it's satisfying someone, then that's good music. Which, coming from one of the world's most accomplished opera singers, it sounds like a very generous kind of definition of what makes music good, because he could be a snob and say
he could be a total snob.
Yeah. So on one hand, I appreciate that, but on the other hand, what I thought was, well, if the whole point to music is just that it satisfies you on some level, maybe there's more to music than that, and maybe there is music that actually takes your consciousness to a darker place or makes you a dumber person. It's like kind of like dulls your clarity and your awareness. Then is that good, even though I might like it? And so Bob Dylan is like, that's what he's plugging into here, right? He's saying it's like Wonder Bread. Is it good food? Is food good just because someone wants to eat it, or could it be actually harmful for you? And if food is harmful, is it good?
Wow. On our message board, Henry is naming names. He's saying that Bob was talking about the monkeys, which I sort of liked in a comical sort of way. But and I liked the TV show too. But I could see how they are maybe the Wonder Bread. But anyway, whether it's the monkeys or not, I totally get that, and I see that in my generation of music as well.
Yeah.
There was we were in the punk scene, so there was a lot of. It was a really
a lot of bad music there too.
or dark blaming. There were some like racist bands that would sneak into the mix, and it's like. And the interesting thing, what I found a distinction between music and lyrics. Whereas you could be singing along with something, you're like, what the hell am I even singing? You know what I mean? I don't even know the words to this song. And then you find a thing is very, very negative or very dark or very violent.
Mm-hmm.
And you're like, what am I singing to? And I liked the whole idea of positive music. And then that was sort of like the rebirth of that positive, straight edge. That meant a lot to me. And in the 90s, when everything shifted and all these bands became sort of from our music scene started selling to major labels and stuff like that. I wasn't against selling to major labels. More than I was against is dumbing down a message.
Are you sure? Because I saw you get up on the Phil Donahue show and start criticizing.
Yeah, I was give me a break. I was
okay.
I was 19 years old.
All right. Just checking. That's all.
Well, I think there's fans like Bob Dylan who had a lot of integrity.
Google Phil Donahue and New York hardcore.
New York
and
hardcore.
See
yes, I'm on the Phil Donahue show.
Yeah,
it was pretty cool.
Okay.
Anyway.
Yeah.
Now I'm not going to say anything, Steve.
No. Please,
you think I sold out? That's what you're saying. You think I sold out?
I didn't say that. I'm just saying because you said something entirely the opposite on that very public.
I was 19 years old. I'm allowed to change my opinion. Try not to freeze me in time like Walt Disney.
I'm not freezing you. I was inquiring. That's all. Now you've explained it. Now I understand. Now please continue your thought. You weren't against bands signing to you are not against bands signing to major labels. You were, but now you're not.
I was at a time of my life. Oh God. Crawl out of this hole.
Go ahead. I didn't mean.
Let's get into the Bhagavatam.
No. Hold
Walk away
it.
from this.
Slow down. Raghunath, I was in no way. In any way trying to get you in a gotcha moment or anything like that. I was just I inadvertently maybe have done that.
Well,
No,
I
but
think what happened in the 90s is people just started dumbing down the lyrics, or they just felt like, you know what, I don't believe in the straight edge thing anymore. I don't believe in this. I want to make my
hold it.
lyrics a
How
little
could
bit
the lyrics get dumbed down from hardcore?
because straight edge had a message.
Okay.
And
Okay.
as
So the
corny
message
as it
got
might have
missed.
sounded, the message of don't drink, don't, and how many times you can rehash that same theme.
You got to expand.
I get it. You got to expand, but I think people were just also we were all
They
kids
started
trying
to
to
try to market
grow
it more.
up. I don't even think it was for marketing. I think it was just sort of like they wanted to be more artistic, or maybe they didn't even believe in it, man. Maybe they felt themselves to be a little cheesy, and I was like so soft. I was so sophomoric when I write those lyrics, but I didn't like it because I felt like now people are just writing about nothing, and you interpret it yourself. It means whatever you want to mean, and I was like, we have a platform to change the world here.
Okay.
It's very important, like, to say things of substance. I
But
think me
can't
and Bob were
music
thinking alike.
but can't music be like, in other words, art doesn't have to be so direct.
It doesn't
Sometimes
necessarily, but it can be. Like, for
yeah.
example, you don't have to write a song about vegetarianism or veganism or animal rights, but if you do, sometimes you affect people. Hey,
Well,
don't get me
no,
wrong. I listen to ragas that have no lyrics. They're just
that's
they just
my
feel
point.
good.
My point is that sometimes you make a deeper you reach someone in a deeper way by not being so direct, but by being a little bit indirect. And by indirect, I mean like art. There's certain songs, and we can the whole thing. Like you hear a song like John Lennon's works, like as they went on, I thought his songs turned more into like slogans, like "All you need is love" or "Give peace a chance."
In a good way or in a bad way?
In my opinion, it ceases to really be art, and it ceases to be as moving to me as something that there's a deeper way to say things that are not necessarily as direct or as obvious. That's all.
I'm more of a slogan guy.
Okay, I
I'm
mean
more of a
there's
I'm more of a mug
but
guy.
whether
That's
it's
my
a
art.
here's my point about Bob Dylan's quote. Whether it's a slogan or whether it's a more subtle approach, he called this music insulting and humiliating, right?
That's pretty
And I
harsh. That's worse than
and
I said.
it's a bit harsh, but I think I understand. It's like insulting to my soul, right? Like in other words, it's kind of like if you talked, it's kind of like, say you have someone that's like a PhD, brilliant thinker, and you speak to them as if they're a child,
Sure.
as if in a sense you're insulting them, right? Like you're saying you have no more potential than to communicate on this very um beginner's level. That's actually insulting or
Right.
humiliating to speak to that, but don't speak down to me like that, right? And so Bob Dylan's saying they're playing us music as if we're ignorant. They're selling us this junk food as if we don't have a potential to understand something deeper, something more meaningful. And to me, that's really significant. In other words, we should understand that so much of what our senses are calling for is actually insulting to the soul. So much of what I'm listening to, when I'm scrolling through my social media, am I actually insulting my own spiritual potential? Is this actually humiliating to my own spiritual potential?
Right. I get that. I get that.
And I think
just
if we frame it that way in our mind, we actually, in other words, are we honoring our own self? Are we, through how we spend our time and what we engage with, what we consume?
You know what is amazing in the Christian miracle? I'm facing off with all this stuff right at this moment. You know why? Yesterday, I had to do something at the Verizon store, and they say, Mr. Kappa, you get free Apple Music with your phone. I was like, oh, I do? Okay. I don't really listen to music. I listen to some like kirtan. That's all I listen to.
Okay.
I've rarely listened to music except kirtan. I'm not bragging. I just don't listen to music that much. So I was like, oh, I get Apple Music. What am I going to download? So I just started downloading. I was like, am I like distracting? I was like, there's a lot of good
You're
music
like,
out there
okay,
that I should listen
monkeys. I
to.
got the monkeys here.
They were good, catchy songs. But I was just like, and I was like, I should broaden my horizon of music and stuff like that. And I was like, am I broadening my horizon or am I watering my consciousness down?
Yeah.
It's a good question.
Yeah. Are you insulting your soul? Are you
Am I
honoring? Here's
insulting
the
my
theme. Let's honor our own spiritual potential, right? Through how we spend our time, through what we listen to, through what we read, through, let's honor our spiritual potential. We are sparks of pure spiritual energy, and we're feeding ourselves with something that's so so what's the word I'm looking for? It's like it's not on that level, right? Feed
Right.
ourselves Bhagavatam, feed ourselves, music that speaks to our spiritual potential, rather than something that just plays around in a sugary way in our mind.
Well, here's a perfect example too.
Yeah.
This is funny also. When I got into Bhakti in 1988, I listened to hardcore. I listened to, there was all like, hip hop was birthing like in the 80s. And so I was really into Run DMC.
How were
And
you?
I was really into Run DMC. Yeah, I was really into Run DMC. And Run DMC was like just such a positive hip hop band about changing the world and life can be good. And
kind of. I think they were.
What?
I don't know if all the music was.
It was. It was. It was
I mean,
very
most of it was
positive
like
and
sucker MCs and how they were the greatest.
Oh, right. It's that because it all
It
had a
didn't
little
go.
bit of an
It wasn't
ego
gangster
to it.
rap.
No, it wasn't gangster rap. But when I came out of the temple, I was like, well,
It's gangster rap.
when I
What
missed
happened?
gangster rap. And then I started like, well, maybe I should listen to some hip hop. Who is that guy that I got into? Oh, who's the guy that was like, you're going to make me lose my head up in here, up in here. All going to make me lose my head. Who was that? DMX. That's right. And then I started listening. I was like, man, rap got good. Rap got really good. And then I was like, then I was getting to all these lyrics. I was like, what the hell am I singing about? And it's like the most sexist and cop killing. And I was like, I don't want to sing this. I went through 6 months of like gangster Raghunath coming out of the temple. And I was like, man, this is a tightrope. It's like, here I am in this cloistered environment where I'm not saying or talking or thinking anything. And I was like, okay, let's play around with material energy.
Mm-hmm.
Like, oh my God, you can burn yourself here.
Okay.
It's a tightrope.
So let's honor ourselves, Raghunath, right? Let's honor our own spiritual potential.
All right. All right. Okay. AJ Sullivan says KRS-One is speaking at a library in Wilmington tonight. No one knows this, but KRS stands for Krishna.
I've met him.
You met KRS-One?
I met him and I sold him a book.
Oh, really? Did he mention anything about Krishna? I think he used to eat prasadam all the time. That's how he got the name, or his mother called him Krishna. Or this is not a joke. This is serious. He was a vegetarian.
I was speaking to him, and his manager was like trying to pull him away from me, but he was into what I was saying. He was very interested. And I had a Bhagavad Gita, and he's like, I've already got that one. What I want
is the Chaitanya Charitamrita.
I think what he really wanted was the Krishna book. Like he was saying, I forget exactly how he phrased it, but like, I want the book about like the author of this book. I think he meant Krishna. And I think he wanted something like Krishna book, like something about the life of Krishna.
Interesting. Nice. Okay, wait a second. Mara's got some
According
valuable
to
info.
According to Wikipedia, sometime after leaving the group home that he lived in, he moved into a homeless shelter in the South Bronx, where he was dubbed Krishna by the residents due to his curiosity about the Hare Krishna spirituality of some of the anti-poverty workers.
There you go.
And he's also a vegan activist.
Wow. Because our friend
we gotta get him on the show.
Davy Deva, we got to get him on the show. Well, KRS-One or Davey David? Davey used to do all
KRS-One.
that food outreach in the city. He probably was in, and they were probably
He was in
devotees running it.
Philadelphia, though.
Oh yeah, that's South Bronx.
Yeah.
I have no idea then.
Okay.
I was like, I'm on to something. I'm putting the puzzle together.
Well, I think his DJ Scott LaRock was I think he was kind of like an elder to him, like I think he had something to do with, like, he was like a social worker that he was in contact with or something, and then they got into the music together. Something like that. Right?
Also, KRS-One stands for knowledge reigns supreme over everyone.
Okay.
That has nothing to do with podcast, Mayor. Thank you, though.
Everything else you were
That's
getting
exactly
into
what we're
that
talking
has nothing
about.
to do with it. When you DMX.
That was to make a point. That was to Okay. Narayanam namaskritya chaiva narotamam devim saraswatim vyasam tato jayam madhurayat. Before reciting the Srimad Bhagavatam, which is our very means of conquest, one should offer respectful obeisances to the Supreme Lord Narayan. Unto Narayan Rishi, the supremest human being, Saraswati, the goddess of learning, to Srila Vyasadeva, the author. Nasta prayeshva bhadreshu nityam bhagavat sevaya bhagavati utamasloke bhaktir bhavati naishtiki. By regular attendance in classes in the Bhagavatam and by rendering service to the pure devotees, all that is troublesome to the heart will become eradicated. And loving service to the Supreme Lord, who is praised with transcendental songs, will be established as an irrevocable fact. Om Gyana Tamarandasya Gyananjana Salakaya Chakshurunmadatam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Born in the darkness of ignorance, my teachers are opening my eyes with a torchlight of knowledge. Or from Jesus at their lotus feet.
Yeah.
Reading. Yep. I don't like this new mic setup.
I know. Reading from Canto 5, Chapter 12, Text 9.
It's like covers your face. How come we haven't figured it out yet, Mara?
Well, you had it and you switched it. You guys switched up your background. You switched up your setup.
There was a reason for that. That was like right in our altar.
You fixed something that
didn't
wasn't
work.
broke. All right, let's get into this. Text. What are we on? Text 9, you said?
Text 9. One may say that varieties arise from the planet Earth itself. We just read all these great verses yesterday about how the body is nothing more than Earth. And our body is just changing as Earth can change, like a sandcastle can change, or like a table was once coming from a tree, which once came from the Earth. So we're saying our body is nothing like the Earth.
After that, and then it could be ashes. It's just different transmutations of the same energy.
Yeah. So one may say that varieties arise from the planet Earth itself. However, although the universe may temporarily appear to be truth, this is huge. Although the universe may temporarily appear to be truth, it ultimately has no real existence. Boom.
Okay.
Boom. Because you think, well, okay, this is an illusion. This is an illusion. That's an illusion. But the universe, like, that's real. No, that's unreal. What verse does this remind you of, Kostuba?
What verse? The Bhagavad Gita verse? What are you talking about?
No, it reminds me of 111, the first chapter of the first canto of the first verse.
Okay.
That Brahma, Krishna puts everybody into illusion, even the great sages and demigods, and making them think that this world is real, even though it's unreal.
Right.
Right. The Earth was originally created by a combination of atomic particles, but these particles are impermanent. Actually, the atom is not the cause of the universe, although some philosophers think so. Boom. It is not a fact that the varieties found in the material world simply result from the atomic juxtaposition or combination.
So that's what that's what certain philosophers were putting out a long time ago, as this is
it's not a
responsible,
new
but
thing.
It's also kind of it's kind of the trend in modern science. It's being challenged, but it's the trend in modern science, right? That even consciousness, which is the most mysterious aspect of creation, is simply a combination of different atomic particles.
I love how you said it's a trend, because
It's changed.
we see it as like, yeah, we figured this out as truth. How long? 150 years ago, 100 years ago? It's like there's been philosophers, thoughtful people for
Right.
thousands of years. We just tend to think that if they lived a long time ago, they're like dinosaurs. They didn't figure out anything. You'd be amazed at what they figured out back then. They built massive monuments and pyramids without nails, and they lifted boulders, that excavators, Jamie Step Dojo and his excavators can't lift.
To this day, they can't figure out how
They can't even figure out them all over the world. And what are we building? We're building like Levittown, Long Island, and track homes, and we're living in shipping containers. Come on, people.
Okay.
You like shipping containers? You go live one. Go live in one. I didn't mean it like that. Okay, let's continue on.
First?
Actually, the atom is not the cause. Okay, we finished it. Text 10.
Did we?
Yeah, we did.
Okay.
Since the universe has no real ultimate existence, the things within it, shortness, difference, grossness, skinniness, smallness, bigness, result, cause, living symptoms, and materials, they're all imagined.
Interesting.
Ooh.
I mean, we can.
Let's continue. Let's just finish this and then we'll pick it apart. They are all pots made of the same substance, earth, but they are named differently, right? We got the Mara pot. We got the Kastuba pot. We got the Jamie Step Dojo pot. We got the Henry pot, right? We got the Lori Pag pot. These are all people on Zoom, by the way. If you're listening out there, like, who are they talking about?
What?
The differences are characterized by the substance, nature, predisposition, time, and activity. You should know that all these are simply mechanical manifestations created by material nature.
Okay.
It really puts everything in perspective when they just say, Mara, you're nothing more than a pot.
Well, again, we need to bring this back a little bit, because this is obviously a challenging statement, and it needs to be understood. It needs to be understood correctly. We need to understand the intention and the message of the speaker, right? Because, for instance, it says that whether one person is short and one person is tall, one person is skinny and one person is fat, that's all imagination. Well, can't we put them on a scale and see who's heavier than the other one? Can't we? If we can measure it, how can you say that it's just imagination?
And that's where we came in yesterday with it's a world. It's like a dream of soul, in the same way we dream at night. And this is what we talked about yesterday.
Yeah.
If it can't face past, present, and future, right? If it's not real in the three phases of time, then it's considered dreamlike.
Okay, so that's the key. And now we say, well, how can you say it's dreamlike? And when we spoke yesterday, I thought this was a bit of a breakthrough, at least for me, right?
Yeah, breakthrough yesterday.
What is a dream? A dream isn't something entirely ephemeral. Like a dream exists in patterns, physical patterns taking place within the brain. You can find that dream, right? Mm. It may be so complex that scientists have a difficult time. Like, science isn't at the point where we could plug your head into a machine and give you a specific dream. We can't. It's so complex.
They can do that, or they can't do that.
As far as I know, you can't do that.
Okay.
Right?
I was like, wow, I never heard about that. Is it an app? I missed the first.
But theoretically, you could do it, right? If you could get those neurons firing in a certain pattern. In other words, your dream, which you think has no existence, is entirely imaginary, has no existence, is actually physically manifesting in particular patterns.
Sure.
Of electrical charges in the neurons of your brain. So if that's the fact, then what we call a dream actually, it's both substantial. It has a physical presence, but we understand that really it has no real substance. It's here and gone. and then it's disappeared entirely.
Hmm.
And so what these philosophers are saying is they're saying, think more deeply about life. And even as you move through this world and the different, you are entering in different forms, you are taking on different shapes. At every moment, the Bhagavad Gita is going to tell us, right? You go from, childhood to youth to being middle age to being old age, and you're perceiving these different changes that are taking place in your body.
Mm.
This is all, again, as we were saying yesterday, it's just a blip in time. Separate from yourself and see that it's just like what's going on in the brain during a dream. Certain patterns are coming and going and then go on forever. So in that sense, this world is dreamlike. And it's saying that all the forms, they're coming out of the same source. Just like you could take clay and make a pot, make a cup, make a plate, and you give each one a different name. This is plate, this is cup, but they're all just different manifestations of the same one earth.
Yeah.
Earth is what they really are. That's the real temporarily it's a cup, but
Now
really what it is earth.
Now the real beauty of this K I almost called you Special K. The real beauty of this Special K is if you really buy it, you really embrace it, you are relieving so much pain from your life. Sure. Now, on the material level, on the in the paradigm of the clay is us, you're setting yourself up for suffering. For example, look at my body. You could take my body and say, man, Raghunath's bald. Raghunath's he's got no butt. He's got no butt. He can't barely hold his pants with butt. Or he's short. Raghunath's short. They're and if you and Mara just got together, hey, buttless. And I was it like hurts. It hurts me. Go stupid. So don't say that, right?
Well, you can,
or hey, baldy.
Surgery for that.
Okay, I know. I can go to Brazil. They have those implants. I'm not going to do it. I'm just, hey, baldy. You call me baldy. That hurts. Ouch. Oh. You're so bald. Sometimes my kids will joke, hey, baldy, or whatever. Stuff like that.
Kids.
To the degree that I identify, then you're just like, you're going to suffer. Now, I'm not saying go out there and, make someone's skinniness or fatness or something like that. But to the degree that I identify myself with that as me, I'm setting myself up for pain. My external body I have, it's not me. And if you're triggering me, that's my problem. I have to learn to protect myself. I'm not saying we should go out and do that. But if I'm getting triggered, that's my problem. It points to me to start to examine these things. Why am I getting so hurt by that? It's not their problem. I can't dance around the world hoping not to be offended by what everybody else is saying. I have to worry about those things myself. Don't call me baldy. I'm not the head. I'm not the lack of butt.
And where that leads is to something even, in my opinion, even more significant and even better news. It's not just relieving yourself of, in other words, not just relieving yourself of some of the mental anguish that we go through due to the temporality of things in this world, but also trying to understand, okay, well then what am I? What am I made of? If I'm not made out of the clay that the constantly changing, of different bodies, then who is it that's observing the changes? And what is that? And what is the nature of that being? Right. And to really understand that, you're not going to get that through looking at a microscope. It just will not go there. It just will not penetrate into that truth. It won't get you. You need to open up the ears and hear. And then and it's not just that you accepted it as dogma and blindly. You engage with it. You observe. You begin to see the world through these teachings that I'm not the body. I am the spirit. I'm eternal. You have to engage with it, live with it.
Now I'm having a breakthrough.
Oh, okay.
To the degree that I embrace the clay, embrace the earth, I'm going to suffer. I'm going to suffer with my lack of butt, lack of hair, height.
Okay, no, you just went back though. We're moving forward.
I was moving forward. To the degree that I embrace my eternal reality, I'm free. I'm free.
Okay, but the question is, but then who are you, right? Let's try to go into that. It's great that my point was That what you're saying is absolutely fantastic. Yes, if I can see the world through the eyes of spiritual knowledge, it relieves me of so much suffering. But let's try to understand who I am and the potential of all that, the positive end of it, not just the relief of suffering, but the positive engagement, right?
Yep. Well, you're giving me advice. I'm getting better advice on the message board from
I'm not
Roger
advi-
Tompkins. He
how
says
do you know
instead
it's
of
better because you're not listening to me?
I know I heard I get what am I underneath all that stuff. I keep it very simple. I'm a pure spirit soul, eternal, filled with joy, filled with deep inherent knowledge. And I see other people on that platform separate than the clay, separate than the earth body and other beings. And that is how you find peace in a temporary world. Roger Tompkins here on the other side, he's saying, switch your steps, Raghunath. I count my steps, and do thoughts, and you'll have a butt in no time. That's trying to fix the dream. That's trying to fix the dream. That's what the whole material world is. How can we fix the dream? And it never leaves people peaceful. I think that's an important place to, hover about, Mr. Kostuba.
It's the wrong question. How we can fix the dream is the wrong question. How we can wake up is the right question.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. Right. Knit that one into your scarf there, Nitty Von.
Okay.
Isn't that a good name for Mara? Nitty Von?
Oh, okay. Another one.
Nitty
The
Von.
Nityananda I thought might be better, but
I like
Nityananda-
Nityananda, but Nitty Von is like a famous forest. It's a famous Vrindavan forest,
Yeah.
Nitty Von.
Nityananda, but it's not exactly knit. It's stretching a little bit, but you could do that.
Nitty Von. Okay.
Okay. Text 11.
Text 11. Text it. Okay. Mara had it all set up. What then is the ultimate truth? The answer is the non-dual knowledge is the ultimate truth. It is devoid of the contamination of material qualities. It gives us liberation. It is the one without a second, all pervading and beyond imagination. It's all pervading and beyond imagination.
Beyond imagination. In other words, it's beyond the shifting temporality.
So this is where you're going. This is where you're going with your last,
Yeah. I was thinking like
you were thinking like the Bhagavatam.
Yeah.
And I was like living in the clay world.
Okay.
Trying to analyze the clay more. Me and Roger Tompkins trying to make our butts bigger. It is one without a second, all pervading and beyond imagination. The first realization of knowledge is Brahman. Then Paramatma, the super soul, realized by the yogis who tried to see him without grievance. What does that mean? See him without grievance?
Without grievance? I suppose it means we carry a lot of grievance. We're worried about why don't I have a big butt?
Why don't I?
Like
what have I done so wrong?
Why did you want one? I don't get it. But anyway.
I'm not even asking for a big one. I've got like an innie.
Okay, let's ground this again here. Right?
Okay, this is the second.
Without grievance, it's a very interesting question. Why not? Maybe I'll look up a little Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur. Maybe he's got something to say about that. But just at least initially, I think it is. In other words, when you give up, grievance has to do with the mode of passion. It has to do with Rajaguna. I don't have what I need. Right?
Yeah.
So here it's saying you need to approach Paramatma, God within the heart, without grievance, without approach, I don't have what I need. You have to approach that Paramatma on the lower level with detachment, on the higher level with love. Right? But certainly without grievance. That's like you're not even you can't approach with
it. Just So this is the second stage of realization. Finally, full realization of the same supreme knowledge is realized in the supreme person. Man, this verse really breaks down. This verse is the universe. This is the entire universe. This verse right here.
It's even beyond the universe.
Right. It's the material spiritual world.
Yeah.
And he says, finally, full realization of the same supreme knowledge is realized in the supreme person. I want to talk to Rainn Wilson. Let's get him on the show.
Okay.
He needs to know about the supreme person. All learned scholars describe the Supreme Person as Vasudeva, the cause of Brahman, Paramatma, and others.
Okay, so there's so much here.
That was
in this verse.
massive. One more
So-
verse in before we end the show.
What's
No?
that?
Yes?
What's that?
Let's get one more verse in before
I was thinking we go
wrap this up.
deep into this verse. There's
Well, that's what
there's
I
so
thought
much
too.
here.
I thought we should like not go anywhere. Let's just stay here. We can
Okay.
live here. I don't think we should even continue with the Bhagavatam anymore until we squeeze the nectar out of this verse.
Right. So okay, so then what is the ultimate truth? If it's not the constant shifting, if it's not the different forms that are all made of the same stuff, but we give them different names,
Mhm.
right? That was the point that was coming from previous, right? Whether I'm eating a Pop-Tart or I'm eating, a name something else,
Pop-Tarts aren't really vegan. Use another one.
whatever, Pop-Tart and or a
Something
vegan,
healthy?
a
You're
vegan
juxtapose.
meatball sandwich.
Okay.
It's even though there's definitely differences in the quality, ultimately it's all made up of the same earthy stuff, but we give it different names.
Yeah.
It blends in different forms.
Tastes different.
The Pop-Tart and the vegan meatball sandwich,
Yeah.
they're all going to end up back in the earth, right?
Yeah.
Come one again.
Yeah.
Right, because the material energy, the material atoms, they're coming together, they're breaking apart, they're coming together, they're breaking apart. We give it different names as it takes different. Now we're talking about what's beyond that. What then is the ultimate truth? The answer is that non-dual knowledge. Non-dual meaning recognizing that exactly what we were just saying, that the difference between these two is ultimately insignificant because they're made of the same energy. Let me understand what's beyond that, right? That means we're going into Brahman, understanding spiritual energy. So this is devoid of the contamination of material qualities. The soul doesn't have the defects of the material energy, right? And therefore it's insulting when we feed it junk food, right?
I like that.
So then it goes on. It is the one without a second, all pervading and beyond imagination, right? That is this spiritual energy. He says the first realization of that knowledge is Brahman, then Paramatma, and then ultimately he's going to say that it's this supreme person. So there's really tons and tons. You know what I think of when about the first part of this, Raghunath? There's this story about Srila Prabhupada where someone challenged him.
Do you plan this out, or do you have a whole list? I got to tell this story. I got to tell this story.
Sometimes
Is this just
sometimes
come
I
into your
actually
head?
prepare for this show, or sometimes it's stuff comes spontaneously.
Oh,
Raghunath,
ow, ow! That hurts my hernia.
Sometimes I actually prepare. But there was a story where Srila Prabhupada was asked. He was challenged. You know the one I'm talking about? Someone said to him, "Oh, you're the big guru. You know everything."
Oh yeah, that's a great story.
Okay, and so then
you know everything. You're a guru. You know everything.
Well, tell me this: how many windows?
Names? Oh, how many
No.
windows in
How
the
many
Empire State
licks?
Building? I've heard how many names in the New York Yellow Pages.
I don't think that was
no. How many windows in the Empire State Building?
How many windows in the Empire State Building? And so Prabhupada's answer is like, I don't know if it went right over the person's head or not, but it's actually such a brilliant answer.
How many drops of water in a mirage?
Exactly.
Like the classic mirage is like a lake in the desert. So how many drops of water in that mirage?
Right. So that answer right there, it speaks so much to everything we've been talking about today and yesterday.
Did Prabhupada prepare for that? Just like you preparing for class? Or did that just come out of his mouth? That was incredible.
I doubt he prepared for it, because how could he anticipate that question?
He's always preparing. It's a lifetime of preparation. That's what we're doing right now. There's a lifetime of preparation.
Well, let's stick with this topic, though. All right.
Okay.
Let's try to understand that answer. Because the idea is that Prabhupada's a guru, right? This is how we learn about Brahman. You know, there's the very famous verse in Bhagavan, Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. One should seek the Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta. One should find a guru, find someone that can see the truth, right? Jigyasu Shreya Uttamam. And you inquire, but you don't inquire about just anything. Like, you don't inquire about how many windows are there in the Empire State Building. No, Shreya Uttamam. What is the highest good? That's what you inquire into. Like, you know, what leads to the highest good? What leads to complete freedom? What leads to the deepest love? That's what you're meant to inquire about. And then, okay, well, how do you recognize that guru? Shabde pare chanishtanam. They're fixed in their realization of the conclusions of these ancient texts. They've understood them through their deliberation. And Brahman upasamashrayam, that they're fixed in this spiritual understanding because they're detached from the illusory understanding, right? They see they see through the dream, and they see what's substantial, right? And so when Prabhupada answered that, it's like, how many drops of water in a mirage? It doesn't matter how many drops of water there are in a mirage. What you need to understand is that it's a mirage. It's not real. You know, that's what the guru is meant to see. That we're meant, all the trivial stuff is not important. We need to understand the very basic fundamental distinction between reality and illusion. You got something to say, something to share here, Raghunath. I want to hear.
You know what? Let's stop there, because I can go on for a while with what I want to say, and I think it's 7:01.
Got a late start today too.
Yeah. Okay. Miss Mara, Nitty Vaughn.
All right, I got some good stuff. Bob Dylan is a bridge to bhakti.
Yeah, okay. He's a bridge bossy.
Is he?
No, he's not.
Is he?
Don't freeze Raghu in time on the Phil Donahue show.
Don't freeze me in time like Walt Disney.
You know, that's the way that film works, Raghunath. It freezes you right there. It's hard to break free.
Yeah.
Sometimes what our senses are calling for is insulting to the soul.
Sometimes you feel like a nut.
Honor our spiritual potential.
Yeah, that's right.
Your honor.
To the degree we identify as a body, we set ourselves up for pain.
I like that.
Mm-hmm. The material world is just trying to fix the dream.
Don't try to fix the dream. Try to wake up from the dream.
Yeah, don't get a butt implant. You're not going to fix your butt.
Pop-Tarts and meatballs are really the same.
Yeah,
Are they,
Lisa
though?
Tuttle says there's vegan. There's vegan Pop-Tarts now. Okay.
And
this better be good, Mara.
I'm not my lack of hair or any butt.
I'm not my innie butt. My butt's an innie, not an outie. Anyway, everybody, guess what we have to do today? It's Share the Show Thursday. Share that with your friends. Make a little, send it to people you think are like getting into bhakti, interested in spiritual life. Maybe they're not getting bhakti. Maybe they're just like, or they're going through something. This type of stuff can really help people who are suffering in the material world with a material situation. You know why? We are not a material situation. We're in a material situation. But we are a spiritual being, and this can relieve people from so much pain. Give it away now. That's what I'd say. Give it to people. Thanks to everybody who supports us. We got a big group of supporters in this community. Patreon.com/wisdomsages is the way you can support us if you like what we're doing. Patreon.com/wisdomsages, and then you get a key, an entrance to the Patreon community, where there are vaults, treasure troves of classes and wisdom talks and everything from Ayurveda to yoga class. It's unbelievable what you get when you enter into that transcendental door, and it's all logged there for you to scroll through. Thanks everybody for joining us live. Join us live too. Make sure you go to App Podcast today and give us a review. Give us a 5-star review on YouTube as well. Like us and subscribe to our YouTube channel, Wisdom of the Sages. You can comment on our videos. You can say something like, Raghunath, your butt's okay. That's not going to make me feel better. It's just to help the algorithms.
Someone
I'm
is
okay with
fishing
my. I'm
for a
okay
butt
with my
cover.
butt. I'm okay with the innie. That's cool with me. I'm not the butt. I get that. I'm not the bald. Bald shame me. Hair shame me. You hair people. Some people got that long, beautiful hair.